Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Rama, Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. जी की जय श्री राधा गोविंद जी की जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ जी की श्रील प्रभुपाद की श्रील गुरुदेव की अनंत गौरी वैष्णववृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सश्रद्धदानस्य please repeat सश्रद्धदानस्य विवर्धमान विरक्तिमन्यत्र करोति पुंसः। हरे पदानु स्मृतिनिवृत्तस्य समस्त दुःखा ययमाश्नुते। सश्रद्धदानस्य विवर्धमान विरक्तिमन्यत्र करोति पुंसः। हरे पदानु स्मृतिनिर्वितस्य समस्त दुःखा ययमाश्नुते। सश्रद्धदानस्य विवर्धमान विरक्तिमन्यत्र करोति पुंसः। हरे पदानु स्मृतिनिर्वितस्य समस्त दुःखा ययमाश्नुते। This is a beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is found in the third canto, 5th chapter, 13th shloka. 3, 5, 13. It's a very important verse because it is actually chanted by the Devatas as they are remembering Krishna. 3, 5, 13. It's an important shloka for us to remember today because it tells us a very important element of devotional service. If we want to be constantly engaged in hearing Krishna's topics, then we must feel anxiety to hear about Krishna. That's why this shloka tells us, for one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha will gradually increase his indifference towards all other things. This word indifference is very important. Indifference in Sanskrit means virakti. Virakti. Virakti means that when something is happening, we have to perform it as a matter of duty. But in time, whatever that we have to do, we are not attached to it. That is very important. Otherwise, what happens is whenever we perform an action, we become attached to the result. We think that because I've done something, I own it. We think because I hold something, it belongs to me. When we have children, we think they belong to us. When we have wives, we think they belong to us. When we have husbands, we think they belong to us. When we have this hall now, we know it doesn't belong to us. We are just here for a while. But the problem is when we have something for a long time, we become very attached to it. It's a natural thing in the material world, but it doesn't help us in the spiritual world. Why? Because the more attached we become to something, the more we become actually part of that object that we desire. And because we're very attached to it, when it leaves us, there is so much pain for us. When our children have to leave us because we're attached to them, naturally there's pain. When our wives and husbands eventually have to leave us, it will also be painful. If you stay in a condition where you become very used to it, you become attached to it. And then when you want to leave it, it becomes difficult. So Bhagavatam tells us that the more we hear about topics of Krishna, the more we hear Krishna Katha, and this is what we're doing, we're trying to hear Krishna Katha. The more we hear it, and the more anxious we are to hear it. This is very important. Sometimes we are very anxious about many things which is material. And I think a lot of people know that nowadays our anxiety is increasing, isn't it? Many people, have mental health issues because of anxiety. Pressures are increasing in this world. Maybe in our generation it was not so bad, but in the next generation it is getting worse and worse. And sometimes the anxiety, it eats into us. We stay up all night, we can't sleep very well, something is always in the mind, we can't let go. Small things that we think are very small, they become very big because we are anxious about it. But we should learn to be anxious to hear about Krishna. This is very important. That's why Bhagavatam is insisting that if we become anxious to hear about Krishna, that anxiety is actually good for our health. That's the beauty of it. The anxiety of the material world is never good for your health. If you are anxious about your job, your marriage, or children, or money in the bank, I can assure you that after a while you check your blood pressure, it is definitely going to go up. Because you're anxious. But if you're anxious to hear about Krishna, and you rushed here today to sit down to hear about Krishna, you'll find that nothing happens to your blood pressure. Actually, you're calm. After Kirtan, everyone should check their blood pressure. I think it will become quite normal. And for those of you who are already normal, I think it will stay normal, right? Unless you're jumping up and down and you're in sheer ecstasy. But that anxiety is needed for devotional service. This is very important. So if you want to increase the detachment from this world, you have to increase your attachment to Krishna. That is the formula by which we have to live in this world. And therefore, the next question comes, is that we must learn how to plan our lives in such a way that we will increase our anxiety for Krishna. That we want to hear Krishna Katha. That is very important. So this is the point of the Devatas in this prayer. They say that the more anxious we become to hear about Krishna, then gradually, now this is very important, this attachment to the material world, right, will gradually leave us. We will become indifferent. In the material world, the word indifferent sometimes has a negative connotation. Sometimes people think that indifference means you're not bothered. And it's not very nice. Sometimes someone's talking to you but you're very indifferent to them. So people feel why you're not caring, why you're not bothered. So this is not good. But in bhakti, indifference doesn't have a negative connotation. Indifference means we see the hand of Krishna in everything that happens to us. This is very important. You all have heard of that story, right, of the minister and the king? You know that story. The king and the minister were very close, and wherever the king went, the minister would go. So one day the king decided to go for a hunting trip, and the minister and everybody else went with him. As they were in the jungle, suddenly a lion came out, and it was very unexpected, and it pounced on the king. The king did not wait for anyone to protect him. He was a warrior. So he fought and defeated the lion, but he lost his thumb in the process. Now when he lost his thumb, all the other people, his courtiers, his ministers, they all came and they expressed a lot of condolences, and they felt very bad. They said, this is such a bad day, it's a tragedy that the king has lost his thumb. But the minister was very close to the king. He had a different take on it. He said, my dear king, it is by Krishna's mercy that you lost your thumb. Otherwise you could have lost your life. Now the king became very upset. Actually, if you're in the position of king and you've lost your thumb, if someone tells you actually it is Krishna's mercy, you'll also, your blood pressure will go up a bit, isn't it? You say, what are you talking, man? I just lost my thumb. But the king became very upset and he said, this is too much. All the time you're always telling me that something is always good, that there's always something, you must see the hand of Krishna. But today, I can't see the hand of Krishna because I lost a thumb. So what did he do? He had the minister imprisoned immediately. So now the king and the entourage of ministers, they wandered further deeper into the forest. As they did that, the story goes that the king was kidnapped by a band of dacoits. You all know dacoits, right? Bandits, right? In Singapore, nobody knows the word about dacoits. Because it's not a term that's used normally. Unless you come from India, then you know what dacoit is. So the bandits came and they caught the king. And they wanted to sacrifice the king. And they wanted to sacrifice because they thought by sacrificing this personality, right, then they will get more riches and they will be able to become more successful thieves. Now, the pujari who was in charge of the sacrifice, he cleaned up the king. But then he came back to the bandit king, the dacoit king, and said, my dear king, we have a problem here. See, according to our sastras, they also have sastras. According to our sastras, it is stated that if you want to sacrifice something like this, the person has to be complete. And he's not complete because he's missing a thumb. So we can't actually sacrifice him. And so the dacoits were forced to let the king go. And the king's life was spared. The king comes back to his kingdom and he goes immediately to the jail to release the minister. He embraces him and he thanks him because he says, today I've learned the value, right, of becoming indifferent to difficult things in life, of trying to understand what it means to see the hand of Krishna. So the minister was very happy for the king. But the king had one last question for him. He said, my dear minister, now you told me that we should see the hand of Krishna in everything. And you have shown me how the hand of Krishna saved me in this case. How did the hand of Krishna help you? You were put in prison. It was such a difficult time for you, right? You were in a very difficult position, very bad conditions. How was it beneficial to you? And the minister smiled and said, King, you must think of one thing. I and you are so close that wherever you go, I will go. And if you went deep in the forest, I would have followed you. And if the dacoits had caught you, they would have caught me. They would have wanted to sacrifice you, and then they would have found that you are incomplete. Guess who they would want to sacrifice? They would sacrifice me. But because I was not with you, and I was in jail, my life was also spared. So this is the point that Bhagavatam is telling us. And this point is that the word indifference does not mean that we don't care. We care. Devotees are never careless in our duties. Never be careless. Do your duties immaculately. Do it very well. But once you've done it, you must be prepared to leave it. Because your job is done. And everything else is in Krishna's hands. That is indifference. Right? So I may go to court to argue a case, but the result of the case is not in my hands. It is in Krishna's hands. So the mood in which I walk away from the court is virakti. Virakti. I become indifferent. And in Bhagavatam, one character particularly showed us that very much. And that is Vidura. Vidura was actually the best of the best well-wisher of his brother Dhritarashtra. You all know that. Every time Dhritarashtra was seduced by power and property, every time he had Asat Sangha of Sakuni and his sons, it was Vidura who always told him, stop this, brother. Don't be Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra means one who is very, very attached to his properties. Right? So if you are very attached to your properties, then actually you are Dhritarashtra. You have to be very careful about that. And property doesn't just mean land. Huh? Property can be your bank balance also. Property can be, oh, my family is my property. Some people think that way, So Dhritarashtra, Prabhupada writes in the purport, during the time of Mahabharata, there was only one Dhritarashtra. But today, there are many Dhritarashtras. Prabhupada writes that. He says, today there are many Dhritarashtras. They are walking everywhere. We just don't know that they are Dhritarashtras. Because they cannot be indifferent. They cannot be detached. They are very attached. Right till the end, they will not let go, actually. They won't. I remember my Guru Maharaj telling us, he was very young, and he was in Mumbai, in his village. And there was a very rich man there. And that rich man, he was stingy poker number one. He would never give anything without taking anything back. Now, it happened to be, Maharaj was saying, he was very young at that time. He heard that the old man was about to die. He was on the deathbed. And for many, many weeks he was not speaking. So because he was not speaking, right, his sons were very worried because they didn't know how he's going to divide the wealth. So they were waiting for him to speak. Suddenly the doctor called them and said, Father is going to speak. He looks like he's going to say something. So all the sons rushed. And because Maharaj was a bit young and they knew the family, Maharaj actually sneaked into the house at that time and he was watching. Because the sons were coming very close to the father. Father, tell us, is there something? How to divide the properties? Who should get what? This is what they were thinking. And then he opened his mouth and opened his eyes and he whispered, He said, our neighbor had taken 2 spoons of sugar. You better take it back. And he left this world. He died. That's all he thought about. And Maharaj told me, next life you'll become sugar only. Because that's what we're thinking about. The point is, we are so attached to something, we don't know how to be indifferent when we have done it. This is very important. Vidura tried his best to advise his brother. But when he told his brother that you should not be hearing the words of Duryodhana, because he is not giving Vedic wisdom and he is not speaking according to Shastras, Duryodhana became very unhappy. And in the 3rd canto, right, Duryodhana said, this man, my uncle, is the son of a kept mistress. Can you imagine? He called Vidura such an exalted personality, a son of a kept mistress. That's all. He said he does not deserve to live in this palace because he's always taking the side of our enemies, the Pandavas. But he's eating from our plate only. He's living from our house only. And yet he's just taking the other person's side. Beat him up until he only has his life air left and throw him out of this palace. That's what Duryodhana said. Some of the harshest words that you will hear in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is very sweet, except for these words, very, very harsh words. And the moment he said that, Vidura did not object, he did not fight, he expressed virakti. He put his bow down at the doorstep and he just walked away. And Bhagavatam tells us, as he walked away, he was not sorry for himself. Sometimes when we become very attached to something, our tendency is that we feel very sorry for ourselves when something happens. I tried so hard, Prabhu. I had so much of faith in Krishna. I did so much for Krishna, but see now what Krishna has done for me. So what happens is, we become very sorry for ourselves. Self-sympathy doesn't get us anywhere. But the problem is we get caught by it. But Vidura was not sorry for himself. He did not. Because Bhagavatam says, he considered the external energy of the Supreme to be all in all. Very nice point. He saw the hand of Krishna acting in that situation. And true enough, because Vidura was free, he started going on yatra. He didn't stay in the house with Duryodhana. He went for yatra, he went for tirthas, he met Maitreya, he would meet Vidura, he would meet Uddhava. He would hear whole Bhagavatam because he was thrown out. You see, it looked like a very bad situation. But because he had the mood of virakti, he was able to come out of it. And he was very peaceful. That is why this shloka is very important to us. If we want to hear Krishna Katha, then there is a quality in our life that we must develop. And that quality that will increase our anxiety for Krishna is indifference. This is very important. It doesn't mean that we have taken up Krishna consciousness, everything must go well perfectly. Why should it? Why not? Why should it always be perfect? We are in this material world. We are subjected to birth, death, old age and disease. Krishna consciousness, right, doesn't promise you that the moment you start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now it doesn't say the moment you have chanted, nobody will be sick. No, if we all didn't become sick, then Prabhu, you go out of business, right? So that's very important. We don't claim that we will stop disease. We don't claim Krishna consciousness stops birth. We don't claim that the moment you chant, you won't die. You may just die after you chant. It may happen. The point is, Krishna consciousness gives us the strength to be able to withstand birth, death, old age and disease. And if we remember Krishna in this life, then as Kunti Mata says, then for those who are able to continuously chant, repeat and hear, Shrunavanti Gayanti, Grananti Abhishnashaha, then Smaranti Nandanti, Tavehitam Janaha, Taeva Pashyanti, Achirena Tavakam, Bhava Pravaho, Paramam Padambujam. Now Kunti Mata tells us, for those who are hearing, for those who are repeating, right, hearing, chanting and repeating, and Nandanti. Nandanti means even if you can't chant, if you can't hear, if you can't repeat, at least take pleasure in others doing it. This is important. Sometimes, just because I don't know how to cook nicely for Krishna, someone else knows how to cook, I'm angry with the person. If I can't cook, nobody else can cook. Have you met such people? It happens sometimes. If I cannot chant, nobody should chant. If I cannot sing today, nobody should sing today. If I can't give class today, nobody should give class today. We become envious of others. But we should not have that actually. So, Kunti Mata says, Ta eva pashyanti achirena tavakam. We will be able to see Krishna when we perform this hearing of Krishna Katha, repeating of Krishna Katha, and taking pleasure in others doing it. And when we do that, then when we see Krishna, the repetition of birth and death never happens again. So we do come out of birth and death, but it may not be immediately. But what is really important is virakti. We should be prepared to be actually very peaceful, and we should be prepared to be detached. So Vidura did not suffer. Another good example from Bhagavatam of example of virakti is actually Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days. He didn't fight the curse. He accepted it because he saw the hand of Krishna. He saw the hand of Krishna. He thought and he prayed that Krishna has come in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Because Krishna knows that if you leave it to me, I will never leave my house. I will never leave anything. And therefore Krishna is very kind. So he was indifferent to his situation. You see the point? Another very good example is Sudama. Sudama actually went all the way from Porbandar to Dwarka. If you ever walk from Porbandar to Dwarka, it's very far. Huh? For those of you who know Gujarat, it's very far. Now you can take a bus, it's easy. But he walked all the way. And he had nothing with him but chipped rice. And that also not his, borrowed from neighbor. But when he went all the way there, he saw Krishna. Krishna embraced him. Krishna washed his feet. Krishna took care of him. But Krishna never asked him, why have you come here? If you come all the way to see a dear friend, surely the dear friend should ask you, is there something I can do for you? Krishna never asked. And Sudama never asked also. So Sudama was so happy seeing Krishna. They talked about their past. They talked about how they helped each other at the time when there was rain and they wanted to collect wood for their teacher. And after that, Sudama was led to a bed and he went to lie down on the bed. And Krishna book tells us when he lay down on the bed, it was so luxurious that he thought he had died and gone to heaven. To that extent, there was so much of love from Krishna. But Krishna never asked him the question, why did you come? He didn't. And next morning, Krishna gave him nice prasadam and Sudama left. And as Sudama was leaving, Sudama did not think, my God, what a friend Krishna is. I come all the way and he doesn't even ask, do you need something? He could see I was a beggar, but he never asked me for it. He never asked if he could give me something. He never thought that way. Instead, Sudama was thinking, who am I? But a poor Brahmana Sudama. And who is Krishna? The Supreme Personality of God. How important that is. And he said, I know fully why Krishna asked me for why I have come. Because he knows if I ask him for opulence, I will not be able to remember him. Because I will become very, very attached to my material opulence. So you can see in Bhagavatam, the behavior of the devotees are constantly on the platform of virakti. This is virakti, indifference. Learn to walk away once we have done something. The result is in Krishna's hands. All we have to do is Brahmani. I think it is his 5th chapter, 10th verse maybe, 5:10. Brahmani Adhaya Karmani. Adhaya is very important. Adhaya means to resign. So Krishna says in 5:10 of Bhagavad Gita that for all your activities, karmani, whatever that you perform as a deity, whatever activity you perform, the moment you have perform it well, offer it to Krishna. But the moment you have finished, resign from the activity. Resign from it. Therefore, every day, we should be employed by Krishna in the morning. In the evening, we should resign from the employment. Next morning, we should again go back and sign up again with Krishna. In the evening, we should resign. So we become what we call contract workers. That's how Krishna, every day, we should live our lives. And please remember one thing. In Abu Dhabi, for example, we have so many families, and families have children. The children are not your property. Your wives and your husbands are not each other's properties. You don't belong to each other. Everyone belongs to Krishna. So if the children are given to you by Krishna, they are actually belonging to Krishna. Krishna is the person who controls and owns everything. So when children come to us in our lives, they are a gift from Krishna. When our wives and husbands come to us, we have a duty to serve them because they are gifts from Krishna. And we must serve them in such a way that we must always be indifferent, not to be attached to the fact that by serving them, they should give us something. By serving them, they must give us something. Now I'm taking care of my children. When I'm old, children, you have to take care of me. That is not the exercise of virakti. Virakti means we take care of them. But in old age, if they are there, good. If they are not, we have Krishna. That should be the mood of a devotee. Otherwise, we will capture them and they will run because they can't take it. And therefore, virakti is very important to harmonize our relationships also. Sometimes, amongst our devotees also, we expect that you are coming under my congregation, you have to follow me. But they are all gifts of Krishna. We are here to serve them. This is how we become peaceful. And those who are peaceful, Bhagavatam tells us, what happens? This constant remembrance of Krishna by the devotee will throw away all the miseries without delay. A devotee who actually is able to remember Krishna in this manner of virakti, anxiety to remember Krishna, hear Krishna Katha, but always be ready to be indifferent. Then naturally the indifference will arise in our heart. We don't have to worry. It's a natural detachment. And with the natural detachment that comes, we will experience transcendental bliss. We will really be happy. And whatever miseries that we have in this world, they may be there, but they don't touch us. Because we are indifferent to the miseries also. Otherwise, what happens is, if you are attached to happiness, misery always follows you. Have you noticed that? In 7.742 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj tells us an amazing thing. He says, the conditions of distress in a living entity begins the day you start your plan to become happy. Think about it. Huh? The day you decide you want to be happy and you make plans for happiness, that day, Bhagavatam tells us, Prahlad Maharaj tells us, that day your conditions of distress will begin. It will begin. It will begin. So remember, we are not in the business of being materially happy. We are in the business of being spiritually happy. And how do we do that? By being determined to continue to serve Krishna no matter what. Very, very important. When Krishna entered Mathura, in Krishna book, he was coming into Mathura with Balaram. And you all know when he entered with Balaram and the Gopi and the Gopas, all the boys, the residents of Mathura, they were so anxious to see Krishna. Because they had never seen him. They had always heard of Krishna, but they had never seen Krishna. That's the beauty of it. They had never seen Krishna. They just heard about him. But the moment they heard Krishna is walking in, he's going through the gates, Bhagavatam tells us all the ladies, they were so much in a hurry to see Krishna that they put on all their clothes upside down. Bhagavatam says clothes for the top went to the bottom, clothes for the bottom went to the top. Many of them put one earring and forgot the other earring. You know, they put this mascara for their right eye and forgot to put on the left eye. But it didn't matter to them because their anxieties to see Krishna increased their indifference to the material appearance. You see the point? That's the point. That's the application of the principle. It didn't matter to them. Krishna is not interested in how you look. Krishna is interested in what you feel. So they came out to the balcony and they saw Krishna. And though they could not embrace him, they all embraced him in their hearts. And that is very important. We may not be able to show externally how much we love Krishna, but surely we can do something for Krishna from our heart, you see. So then Krishna walked further in, you know. And then Krishna saw this man. He was a washerman and he had all Kamsa's beautiful kingly clothes with him. So Krishna and Balaram said, "My dear man, I see these beautiful clothes. They are fit for us, not for the king. Give it to us." And this washerman, instead of being dutiful and obeying Krishna, he started being angry with Krishna. He said, "You impudent young man, how dare you ask for the clothes of Kamsa? Do you not know that Kamsa is the king of Mathura?" And the moment he said that, Krishna then just put his hand up like that, and it became like a sword. And he just brought his hand down and beheaded the washerman. Just like that. And Bhagavatam tells us, by doing that, Krishna showed us one thing. That we may think something belongs to us. We may think something belongs to someone else. But factually, everything belongs to Krishna. So the moment the washerman died, Krishna picked up the clothes, he put on nice clothes with Balaram, and he walked into the city. So you may think something belongs to you, and whole life you keep it very carefully in the bank. But the moment you die, it leaves you. It will never go. Has anyone in the world died with some money and then gone with the money? No. Has anyone born, supposing now you have BTech and MTech and MBA and everything. Now next life when you're born, as you come out of mother's womb, do the certificates come out also? They don't come out, right? There's no facsimile or no telegram to say, "Oh, by the way, this baby was an MBA in the past life." You know, just for your information, that's what he is. Nobody does that. We come with nothing, we leave with nothing. And the washerman said, "This is not for you. Everything is for Krishna. If Krishna wants something, he will take it. So it's better you give him before he takes it. If he takes it, it won't be good for you. Better you give him." That was the story of the washerman. Now Krishna walked further with Balaram, and he came to a tailor. And the tailor was the opposite. The moment the tailor saw Krishna and Balaram, immediately he said, "Let me tailor beautiful clothes for you." And within a few minutes, you know, he was prepared to tailor beautiful clothes for Krishna and Balaram. And they put it on. They threw away the washerman's clothes. It was of no use. Then they put on fresh clothes now. And they became so happy that they gifted this tailor the benediction of Sarupya Mukti. Which means when he goes back to Vaikuntha, he will have the same form as the Lord in the four-handed form. Just because he had a desire to utilize what he had for Krishna. Just see, if you do that for Krishna, how pleased Krishna becomes. And so he was very happy. Now Krishna and Balaram went further in. And when they went further in, right, they saw this very wonderful person. He was actually a flower seller. He had the flowers with him. And he took out all the flowers and he wanted to decorate both Balaram and Krishna. And he made the most beautiful garlands for them. And the moment he made the garlands, Krishna and Balaram said, "Ask me anything you want and we will give it to you." Do you know what the florist asked? He asked for nothing. He said, "Krishna, the only thing I want is life after life. I want to be able to serve you and I want to be able to serve the devotees." And Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, this is the mood that pleases Krishna. Not just that you serve yourself in devotional service, but you must always bring someone else to Krishna. And I can see so many of you have come because someone kind in the congregation invited you, spent time with you, and introduced Krishna to you. And Krishna gave him that benediction, that life after life, you will be in this world, but you will always bring people to Krishna. And finally, Krishna and Balaram walked further into Mathura city, and they saw Kubja. And Kubja was the maid servant who was hunchback, you know. She looked very, very bad because she was hunchback. She didn't look nice at all. But Krishna was transcendently sarcastic. He came up to her and he said, "Oh, beautiful young woman, She was anything but that. Huh? And he said, what do you have with you? We like what you have. And she had sandalwood paste. And in Mathura, the heat is great. And when you apply sandalwood paste, right, you become cool. So Kubja said, I'm in the service of Kamsa. And I'm supposed to apply sandalwood paste for him every day. But looking at the beautiful forms of Krishna and Balaram, can I have the permission to serve you and actually apply sandalwood paste with devotion? And Krishna said, of course you can. And when she did that with so much of love and devotion, Krishna and Balaram became so pleased with her that Krishna put one foot on her foot and put one hand on her cheek, and he just straightened her up. And this Bhagavatam says, that this Kubja who looked so bad, she became the most beautiful young woman in Mathura, Miss Mathura. That's what she became. She became so beautiful, she was Miss Mathura. And so Prabhupada writes in the purport that Krishna and Balaram, Krishna was not attracted to Kubja because of her beauty. Because Kubja after that asked him to come to her house so she can serve them. But Prabhupada says, the Lord was not interested to go to a house because she was beautiful. He was interested to go and see her in a house because of the beauty of her service. This is the mood of a devotee. And so, when we behave in the manner of all these great devotees, then in our hearts there will be virakti. Then indifference will come to our heart. Then we will be able to live in this world without this anxiety that something belongs to me. Kubja was ready to give the sandalwood to Krishna because in her heart everything belongs to Krishna. The first person they met, right? Who was the first person they met?
The
washerman, right? He thought everything belongs to me and everything belongs to Kamsa. And therefore, the only thing he met with was death. So for those who are inspired to remember Krishna, they will gradually get virakti. So please, if you want to be peaceful in this material world, please do your service very nicely, but do it in such a way that always be prepared that you may do it, but how it comes out is really up to Him. Take care of all your affairs, but at a moment's notice, you should be able to walk away. Because nothing belongs to us, and everything belongs to Krishna. And those who walk away from these things, actually they have everything. And those who do not walk away and keep everything, actually they have nothing. So those devotees may appear poor, but actually they are opulent. And the materialist may appear rich, but he is actually spiritually bankrupt. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srila Gurudev ki Ananta Kodi Vaishnava ki. Shall we chant Krishna's names?
Yes.
Let's chant.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. We would like to welcome again one more time His Grace Devakinandan Prabhu and Radhika Mataji. They have been with us for last 2 days, and last 2 days have been very, very amazing. And of course we had an amazing time, but both the personalities are also very amazing. They arrived Friday night, no rather Saturday early morning, 1 o'clock. And Prabhu, he woke up 3 o'clock as usual, And then we had a program early morning, Saturday morning we had a program, followed by we had 7 house visits. And then in the evening there was one more program. Then this morning again there was one program, followed by another program in the hall. And then they had to do some sevas for the deities in Rajkot. So they were out in the market, and finally they are here for another program. And I asked Prabhu that, Prabhu, we can do the kirtan. He said, yes, why not? And I said, for how much time? He said, 1 hour. So imagine how much spiritual strength and potency they have got. Because of their devotional service, and more than that, it's a dedication to the spiritual master, and they have taken the instruction of Maharaj to their heart, and they've been serving them since their young age. Prabhuji has been studying the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam for nearly 40 years now. He started when he was small, 14 years old. And so 40 years of sadhana is there. And it's not ordinary sadhana. It's like consistency. Prabhuji was telling that consistency means you chant every day. 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. But in our case, we do chant, but the timing is, always we don't know when we start, when we finish. Sometimes chant, don't chant. Prabhuji has been so much committed that regardless of what time he is on the bed, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, he will wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and chant his rounds, do the Mangala Aarti and study the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita every day for 45 minutes. I've been singing it for 25 years constantly when I was in Abu Dhabi and even in Singapore when I stayed with him for 10 days. And another thing about Prabhu that he has got the time for everything. And I don't know from where does he find that time. From where does he find that time? He has got his own law office in Singapore. He has got his family commitments, 2 kids. Apart from that, the general counsel for the governing body of commissioner. That body takes care of the ISKCON affairs worldwide. So he's been serving them for many years, and that's a complimentary service. It's not a paid service. And apart from that, there's a congregation in Singapore which need to be taken care. The 2 temples in Rajkot and Dwarka, they were built under his guidance. Of course, Maharaj is supervising him. Right? And apart from that, he keeps traveling to different countries, different parts of the world. When we were in Singapore, he was doing all these things. But then I found, that he was spending time even with the kids also in the night. Because kids, they like to play or watch the football match, and that time some football tournament was going on. So in the night, he would spend time with them, and still he's there for the Mangala Aarti. Just can't explain you, Prabhu, that so amazing devotees are with us. And we are fortunate to have their association, and now we are blessed to have him again with us here, and we are going to have the last bit of the program, or the last session of his trip in Abu Dhabi, and it will be a wonderful kirtan for an hour. I never expected he would say 1 hour, but really it's amazing 1 hour kirtan, so it's like I just can't tell you how much fortunate we are. So we would welcome them again by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times with love and devotion. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Devakinandan Prabhuji, Radhika Mataji ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you, Swanskriti Prabhu. So let's chant Krishna's names. My only request as you chant is that you should chant and lovingly remember Krishna. Don't be distracted. Keep hearing the names. And don't worry about whether you sing well, you don't sing well. Krishna is not interested in that. And even if you sing very badly, the person next to you, they are not going to die. They will survive, they will survive. And if they die because they heard you sing Krishna's names, what is the problem? You're still alright, right? So there's no harm. So sing as loudly as you can. That's fine. Just don't sit down there and not sing. Sometimes we do kirtan and we see people just don't want to chant Krishna's names. I must remind you that Yamaraj has said in Bhagavatam that 4 kinds of people should come to Yamaraj. And the first person who will come to Yamaraj is the person who cannot even chant Krishna's names once. So if you want an appointment with Yamaraj, it's a good way of doing it. But I wouldn't advise it, unless you like Yamaraj. So please chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. I can't hear you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Hari Ram Sankirtan Yajna Ki. So are we warming up for the chanting of the holy names?
Yes, yes.
Radhe Radhe Madan Mohan Madan Mohan Radhe Radhe Madan Mohan Madan Mohan Madan Mohan Radhe Radhe Madan Mohan Madan Mohan Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe Gopinatha Gopinatha Radhe 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 Gopinatha Gopinatha Radhe Radhe Shama Sundar Shama Sundar Radhe 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 Shama Sundar Shama Sundar Radhe 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 Shama Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Nila Madhava Nila Madhava Radhe 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 Nila Madhava Nila Madhava Jai Radha Nila Madhava जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन जी की जय श्री श्री राधा गोविंद जी की जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ जी की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे. We're just warming up actually, no?
Yes.
I remember Guru Maharaj telling us that when you sing for Krishna, you must sing as loudly as you can. And if you can dance for Krishna, dance as much as you can. And the good thing Maharaj said in our movement is, because we are being fed so much prasadam, dancing is good. At least some exercise should be there. Otherwise it's very difficult. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Somebody told me to sing, what is that song? Yashomati Nandana, right? Shall we chant? Yashomati Nandana? Yashomati Nandana Braja Freedom! जय श्री राम कीर्तन की, भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की। Do we have time for one more?
Yes. Three more.
They'll throw us out at this year.
That's okay. It's not our fault.
So nice, so much of enthusiasm. You don't feel tiredness, right? Nobody's feeling hungry, is there? After 3 years. I don't think anyone is feeling. I don't think anyone is feeling hungry also. Right? By the way, there's no prasadam, so after this. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Shyam. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Shyam. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Shyam. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Namaste, Shri Radhe. Namaste, Shri Shyam.
crazy fool.
You're really good at this. Really, really good. It's amazing. That's why Maharaj blessed you all so much. Amazing. Okay, this is the last one. Actually, I'm very happy to go on for 2-3 hours. It's really nice because there's no end to Kirtan actually. But you have to end also. I'm okay. Vande Krishna. Hare
Can I request the devotees to sit down for 2 minutes, please? Hare Krishna. Prabhu, photograph.